sense of analysis. Okay, the analysis enables us to now see vividly on the generated moments as well as the generated shear forces, okay, which will be needed to design that particular beam structure or that slab, as the case may be. Okay, so that is about this aspect. Okay, so understand that we consider statically indeterminate structures or beam structures as those structures whose that cannot be resolved by the equation of static equilibrium. Okay, so you take note of that. Then also when you see beams, okay, buildings where you have more than two supports or having more than one span, such a structure can be considered as a statically indeterminate beam structure. Now, understand that the structure here I'm talking about, not the entire building. Okay, I'm referring to a beam structure. Okay, a beam structure. That is what we are looking at here now. So, so that is about that. Then, like I said, the next video that will be coming up will give us the mathematical aspect of it. Understand that those values that are used for the calculation are just assumed value, okay, but in the real sense, okay, in the real sense is the actual load that you have generated or you have computed. Okay, in design there is something we call loading. Okay, you load that beam. Now the summation of those loads that are generated is what you now impose as either a uniformly distributed load or a point load, as the case may be, okay, on that beam structure before you can now follow the process, okay, the analysis aspect of what you see in the next video. You follow that process to enable you get the required parameters. So it is those parameters that you have gotten, like your span moments, okay, those are what you now need to design that beam structure. And the essence of designing the beam structure is to provide reinforcement, both the reinforcement and the number of reinforcement that is required for that beam structure. Okay, so basically that is the connection between analysis and design. Okay, they depend on each other. You cannot design a beam without analyzing that beam. Okay, it is when you have analyzed that beam that you can be able to obtain the moments that are generated in that beam as well as the shear forces. And when we talk about beam, we are looking at two aspects: the main bars, okay, which is the tensile reinforcement, and in some cases if it has compressional reinforcement, we look at those as the bars. Okay, then the other perspective is the stirrups. Okay, it is the stirrup. That is what I mean. We have the main bars. Okay, we have the main bars. We have the stirrups. Okay, we have the stirrups. Now understand that for us to look at the main bars, we must consider the span moment. Okay, we must consider the span moment. For us to look at the stirrup, we must consider the shear forces.